All right, guys, good to see you again. Good to be back with you here. We had a slow start behind the scenes, but we won't press you with that. And the news of the week basically is just that the U.S. is deporting people for criticizing Israel. And the Studio Ghibli AI memes were big this week. You guys saw those?
Ghibli?
You guys didn't see this yet? Well, Evan hasn't been on X.
Oh.
But basically, Studio Ghibli, the Japanese studio that made Spirited Away and stuff, people have been taking historical photos and Hitler and JFK assassinations and turning them into cute cartoons. It's been blowing up. Blowing up X this week.
I definitely heard that he said that that we've reached the top of art. Like, art is over. Like,
yeah.
He was just like, it's done.
It's definitely true, man. I feel bad for anybody with those graphic design jobs and whatnot, except for the person who made that wonderful shot we just had. Amazing. Fabulous. Not done by AI. But the theme of today is going to be, yet again, what guides you? What forces do you obey? And, of course, how to escape your eternal and prevalent spiritual ailments. So join us as we break down Chapter 14, Part 2 of the Bhagavad Gita.
There's rhythm to that kind of music.
Yeah, man.
Where's the time signature?
The Indian had the micro rhythms and micro tonals. Poj knows all about that.
11:17 time.
Yeah,
crazy.
whatever that is, exactly. So part 2 of chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita, Gunya Traya Vibhaga Yoga. It's hard to say, guys. I challenge you. Also known as the yoga of the distinction of the three gunas. Guys, remember the gunas?
Why don't you say so?
There are old friends on the show. Old friends of the show, the gunas.
This is like the Pokedex that helps you
seriously.
identify the gunas.
Seriously. And to catch ourselves up a little bit of where we were last week. Being born into this world, you are subject to material nature. Everybody knows this. If you get stabbed, you get hurt.
Antibodies.
That's the first thing Evan thinks of. You know, physical nature, antibodies.
I'm hoping mine are working at that time.
And of course, you know, I think of this as the seemingly inescapable aspects of physical incarnation, such as nature versus nurture. These are the first ones that come to mind, right? Nature, genetics, things that you can't really escape, being physical. And of course, nurture as well, things that you learn through this world, what your parents teach you, what the world teaches you. Things of Satan, frankly. And that's what the Christians definitely get right, I'll tell you that much. And really just things that are no choice but to be subject to, aka you will encounter these things. If you're born, you will encounter these things.
You will suffer, you will be hungry.
Boom,
All the things that
there
come with
it
that.
is. Well put, exactly. Thank you, Poj.
Because life is pain.
Because life is pain, man. Life is suffering. And the Indians use the term the gunas, which are to refresh you. Sattva, which is purity, wisdom, harmony, and light. There's 3. The second one is Rajas, which is activity, passion, and energy. And the Tamas, which is darkness, inertia, and ignorance. They say spiritual nature, being born, you're subject to these 3 modes of material nature.
And to quote Poj, your guna experience these things.
That was a good one. That was an underappreciated joke. Very true. And the underlying secret is that ideally you really want to escape all 3. I know some people talk about the sattva, purity, wisdom. Oh, isn't that something to be attained? Well, we're going to learn a little more about that today. So getting into it, Sri Bhagavan continues bestowing his wisdom to us. The mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. The mode of passion conditions him to the fruit of action. And ignorance to madness.
Mm-hmm.
Now pay attention to this word, conditions, right?
Yep.
The mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. Why do you think they use this word conditions?
It becomes habitual after a time.
I like it.
It forms you to be one certain way if you are too habituated by one thing.
I like that a lot, because if you use that interpretation, then you could say, oh, maybe one is not really forced to be this upon birth. We're just conditioned. That feels more of a nurture versus a nature thing.
It sounds
Very
like
interesting. There's a clue.
it sounds like people might argue the action and consequence, which comes first, kind of thing.
Oh, I like that a lot
It's
too.
like by doing good things you become happy, or do you have to be happy to do good things?
Oh, very deep. We must all contemplate.
And
Yeah,
also
chicken or the egg.
conditioning,
Conditioning.
like conditioner.
It makes your hair soft and smooth.
It takes time.
It takes time. You have to let it sit.
Exactly.
You might have to do it twice.
You might even have to do it twice, but it gets expensive. All these metaphors fit in, I'm telling you. So I think the condition word sort of tells us, it sort of reveals the clue that it's a trap. It's a trap that we get into. You gonna experience it.
You're gonna be
but you
conditioned.
don't have to. Maybe we have to go through it to get out of it. We're gonna learn that later on, of course, as well. There was a time, of course, too, when I said that when we first came upon the gunas, that I thought maybe passion might be the worst of all. I postulated the one in the middle: happiness, passion, and inertia. So I kind of came up with Mitch's fun little breakdown in this week's Mitch's Fun Breakdown.
Do we have one?
Oh, that's right. We don't have one.
Oh, yeah, we don't have one. Sorry, we should have one. I should make something like that.
Mitch's fun little breakdown.
Mitch's Fun Breakdown. So I thought of it as what's the worst for different types of people. And I came up with Mitch's Fun Breakdown. Look at me, I'm all like 3D. The sattva seems to be the worst for the people who are sort of fake spiritual or even the idealists, right? Because you want to be spiritual, you want to be happy. But since that is your nature or your desire, you get caught in that. You become conditioned by it.
Oh, I like.
Feel me?
I like this. How it's trying to relate to the clinging thing a little bit. If it's like if you're
Right.
clinging to happiness, you can't ever get that happiness.
Right, you see the puzzle here then, exactly, which is that all three of these are conditions of nature, but they sort of attach their stickiness of life that attaches to different types of people at different times and different stages of our life. And who are these really the worst for? I got to thinking. Then I got to Rajas, passion, which is tends to be the worst for people who want to make a difference in this world, right? Or help. Oh, I want to help people. Passion. I have a passion for something. That tends to
always
affect
bad?
you the most. What? Say that again?
It's always bad?
Well, like I said, the three gunas are sort of secretly bad. There's a hidden bad, which is just being attached to material nature at all.
I see.
And then the tamas, I think, is worse for overthinkers. Tamas is inertia, so not doing anything, laziness, the stickiness of life is worse for people because they could logically create nihilism. You guys with me with all this? Any questions?
Thomas sounds like, to me, it's like just complete like overthinking.
Yeah.
Like it's just like kind of it's the opposite of action. It's like thinking about what you're gonna do, but never actually freaking doing it.
Right, that's perfectly
You know?
put. The image that comes to my mind is the guy who stays in bed all day. He's not really lazy. He's more nihilist. He's there. He's like, why do I even want to get? What is this all for? You get lost in the imagination, in inertia.
It's almost like he's trying too much to explain everything instead of just putting energy into movement.
It certainly feels that way. That's why the tamas, I think, is definitely the worst for the overthinkers.
Misguided energy.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, we tend to bounce from one to the other throughout our lives, throughout the day, perhaps even, falsely believing that we may be escaping something. And I think sometimes maybe we're lost in tamas and but if I could just get to Rajas, my life would be better. There'll be purpose. There'll be meaning. When really you're just going around in this vicious circle of the gunas being trapped to material existence.
So you're always going around between this trap. Is there no way to just break the cycle?
My friend, that is a very good question. Allow Sri Bhagwan to answer. Sometimes the mode of passion becomes prominent, defeating the mode of goodness. And sometimes the mode of goodness defeats passion. And at other times, the mode of ignorance defeats goodness and passion.
Is there a winner here at all?
And in this way, there is always, he said winner, a competition for supremacy.
Yep.
Dog, the gunas are fighting with each other.
Yeah, but this is like a competition of supremacy between just like evil or things trying to like get in your way of enlightenment.
Yes.
It's a fight of the demons.
Very well put, Poach.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to explain, in the sense that sometimes we could think that we're doing these good things. I want to be good. No, I want to be passionate. I want to be helpful. But it's all it's all deception.
My modes of
They're
passion.
just more cunning ways of deception.
My modes of passion always seem to be with the supplement. There always happens to be another thought when I'm passionate, being like, "Oh, you're more passionate than the next guy."
That's
you're
so
more
funny.
If I am passionate,
He doesn't know. He doesn't really know.
He doesn't care enough. He's not.
I know the
I'm a
real
good
way.
guy, yeah.
I know how to build computers.
He thinks he's good.
He's not passionate
I'm more
at
gooder
all.
than him. Yeah. He's
Exactly.
not. He doesn't have real passion. I'm the passionate one. Without even realize you're deceiving yourself. I like this a lot because I've always felt this throughout my life. Like, what is really going to save me? What really makes me better, quote unquote? We like to use the word improvement in life. I have a lot of friends. Well, life's about improvement. It's about hope. Hope is another fun one that you hear about in the West and Christianity, but it's kind of a bad word in the East. I've heard people say, oh, you got to have hope. But even hope, it's really, if you think about it, it's just a false idea. Hope for what? What are you hoping to achieve? You're leaving the moment.
I hope she likes me.
I hope she likes me. Please, God.
It's kind of hard to answer these questions now because after so many episodes of Ancient Wisdom, I'm like, I know that hope is a bad thing to have.
Right.
Because it's like when the thing does come,
You have become wise.
it's very awful and unfortunate because what happened isn't what I hoped for. And if I did get what I hoped for, then I'd be like, all right, well, nice. I'm still not happy, though.
You hit the secret truth, especially one of Mitch's secret truths, is that you never get how you hoped. That's something I learned and just kind of many years ago. I would just say, you always imagine it. You always imagine getting back at the bully or getting a hot bitch. But then bitches don't try hard in bed. Why do you want a hot bitch? You're better off with the ugly one.
They think they're too pretty.
Yeah, they think they're too pretty. Oh, I'm going to get back at the bully. Oh, but then when you get back at the bully, he says something even more suave than last time. You're like, damn it. You're imagining a situation that never even existed. And here's the secret. Because you imagined it, it will not exist. Just a secret that you kind of have to accept. It's sad. You're like, are you sure?
Or the bully has really turned his life around. It's like, hey, man,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about what happened between
You
us.
spend 10 years planning your revenge, and then the first thing he does is apologize to you. Dog, that is life. Like, you know it in your heart. Ancient wisdom is about seeking these in your heart. You know these things are true. I was talking to an old woman the other day, and I says, listen, old lady, everybody knows it. She's like, everybody. I'm like, yes, everybody knows these things. There are no evil people. That's what the Tao, that's what the Gitas try to teach you. Friends and enemies are the same, in the sense that the knowledge is there, but the conditioning and the gunas have gotten in the way of people. When we treat them the same, they become the same. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a battle happening here between the gunas. They battle, they vie for supremacy. And so how do you see this occurring? How is it that the gunas are battling each other? I see it as kind of the hamster wheel, of course. You run, but you never go anywhere.
Sometimes it takes things in the physical reality to wake me up from things, like a sound of something unexpected, or really looking around in my environment, because you realize that you are daydreaming even though your eyes are open. You're imagining that scenario even though there's something interesting going on right in front of you.
Right.
Or you're inside and everything's static, so it's hard enough to see change happening in the world.
Very
and
true.
That things are moving forward.
Yeah, I said to this lady, actually, you might do this 100 times a day.
Yep.
And not even know it. The battles. Maybe it changes for supremacy 100 times a day. Your devilish nature comes out when you're not present with it. And I think that most people, I just had another fun little Mitch thought, that I think most people live in a way, one of two, that it's either you want to have fun before you die, or you want to like minimize suffering while you live. Isn't that fun? I'm gonna die. Everybody knows that, whether they think about it or not. So in the state of ignorance specifically, I'm gonna have as much fun as I can before I die, which is probably maybe even the liberal point of view. I always break it down in those two: man, woman, liberal, conservative, or how to not suffer while I have to live.
You could look at it like, okay, so there's like this timeline, you know, like the number line in like first grade. It goes like negative and positive.
Right.
So that just goes forever in each direction. But there's this like little 0 to 1. That's you. That's when you're born and you die.
Man, I
Wouldn't
like
you
it a
want to
lot.
make that as fat a line as possible
Thinking
on the
that
number line?
baby.
Or are you just gonna
Make
make
it
it a little
juicy.
dot, just like a little dot? No,
Yeah,
you want like
you're
a
gonna
big
be a
fat.
dot,
You want
maybe?
like a Trump Sharpie, like on that number
gonna be
line
huge.
of enjoyment.
Yeah, seriously.
That's what people want, Mitch.
I think so, man. How do I make my life as fat and juicy as possible? So, you know, we're caught in the battle between the gunas, much like perhaps Arjuna is in the battle right now. But how will we die in this battle, Poach? How will it come to an end? You may be asking yourself. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains the pure higher planets. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth amongst those engaged in fruitive activities. And when he dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Oh, I know Poach likes that one. That's pretty fun.
I like.
Because I find it funny, too, that Christians hold this large emphasis on the moment of death. You have to accept Jesus at the moment of death. Right? You
Or
guys heard
sometimes
this?
before. That's like your last chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't that funny? I always felt that it was sort of, what's the word, unfair or like a cheat code.
Oh yeah, as long as you're sorry before you die, Mitch.
Yeah, that I could do whatever I want, and I'm just sorry before. If
But you have to
accept
be
it at the moment of death.
truly sorry.
Right, Poe just said that before the past, and maybe it is. Maybe I
It
am.
can't just be like, oh yeah, God, you know, I'm sorry.
Right.
Let me in.
But maybe
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's got to be like, no, I'm burning inside. The fear of hell is ripping me apart, Lord. I'm so sorry.
You're definitely correct. I feel as if
Still a cheat code.
it's still a cheat code. Right. You're definitely not wrong, but I feel as if they're not like mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
I could still fuck around my whole life and still be sorry at the time of death.
How do you know you're gonna be sorry? What if you're
I'm
not?
a good actor.
No. You can't
just
act
kidding.
this one. You have to really, really be sorry.
Something happens though, you know. I've never died, I guess, as me, but I imagine something happens. Like, oh man, I'm dying. I'm sorry, man. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. There's
I can't imagine you know you're dying and be like, yeah, glad I fucked all those bitches.
maybe there's some really
You know what I'm
cold,
saying?
hard dudes out there.
Glad I fucked everyone over throughout my life.
Yeah, like middle finger to heaven. Like,
Glad I stole those sneakers when I
man,
was 7.
maybe that's
Yeah.
Satan. Maybe that's how he went down.
Yeah.
Maybe.
that makes me think everyone dies with the apologetic attitude, though, because you're
Right.
by getting all that pleasure you're talking about
That's what
earlier.
I tend to believe.
That's a way I think of forgetting about the fact that you have to die, is by trying to attain all that pleasure and avoid all that pain.
Yeah, true. And in that sense,
Because the ultimate feel good of pleasure is not dying. Because we've been conditioned to think that that's the worst thing.
yes.
So the thing that whatever we could do to avoid the worst possible thing we know of, that's our pleasure seek.
I like that a lot. And you guys also have any thoughts about this goodness? You go to the higher planets. Passion engaged in fruitive activities. Ignorance takes birth in the animal kingdom. Animal kingdom is the funniest. And I think to myself, how deep in tamas you are, you know, determines what animal you get reincarnated as. You know, if you were really deep in tamas, you're like a bug. If you're like kind of tamas, you're like an eagle or
I want
something
to be a
fun.
whale.
Or like a whale, yeah. Someone who like, someone in their life who like tried to do something but just couldn't get out of that tamas. He became a whale.
So you want to get rid of your tamas, or be out of the tamas completely?
No, are you guys understanding this? At the moment of death, you're gonna be reincarnated, right? But if you're good, you'll go to higher planets. I'll explain what that means in a second. If you die in passion, you're gonna be just who you are again. I thought that was the funniest. Let's talk about that. I thought if you die in passion, you're just reborn amongst those in passion who are engaged in fruitive activities.
It kind of makes sense.
I thought that was so funny that those who have passion and want to do stuff and want to improve, that is your curse, is that you never improve. You are reborn exactly as you are. Isn't that hilarious?
But maybe they love the chase of improving. So
Right.
why would they want to become a higher or lower thing? They're stuck right where they are because they love the chase.
That's a good point. I tend to think that they're lost in the delusion of chase. They still think there's a goodie out there. They
true.
really want the goodie, but the chase is the way to get it, I suppose. And to Poja's point, I think you are right, though, in the sense that I think some people don't even know that they enjoy the chase. To your point, Poj. Like, I think they always believe they're going to get the goodie at the end.
They think that there is a thing to achieve.
Right.
Or that the chase exists.
That's a good point,
The chase definitely exists. But there might not be anything at the end of the chase, is what I'm saying.
Right, and usually a chase...
And there isn't, yeah.
Really, usually a chase does involve getting something at the end, though. That's the...
Yeah, why else would you do
situation
it, I
they're
guess? All these bitches now today think they're like dating gurus online. They're like, the men love the chase. You know, it's like in their nature. Whoever said that? We like to chase elk
Yeah,
and kill them.
I like things effortlessly falling on my lap.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. Who wouldn't love that? Like, are you kidding me? These fake women dating coaches, like, get out of town. No, men love the... No, we don't.
So be a cunt.
Yeah. So be a huge
So he has
cunt.
to keep wondering.
And yeah, dude, people are insane. The world's of the devil, guys. That's all we need to know. So, of course, yet again, passion almost seems like the worst to me, because if you're incarnated as an impassioned being, there's nowhere to go. You're exactly the same. I thought that was so funny. And at least if you're born an animal, you could be carefree again. You could be Tamas fully.
Are animals just reacting, and that's kind of the definition of tamas, just reaction?
I don't know if this is the definition of Tamas necessarily, but
It's definitely in that category.
But yeah, definitely in that category of the sense that it feels to me as a lesson of sorts. Okay, you're going to overthink in life. I'm going to put you in a being that can't think. You're fully instinct now. See how you like that. See how it feels.
Man, are these punishments or are these helpful steps?
It's tough. Well, again, it's very tough as well, because you must consider in the back of your mind that the gunas, although some can seem good, they're really not. It's saying that the gunas are the evil world of the devil that the Christians talk about. They just break it into three categories. Like we mentioned last week, good and good in the East and West are the same thing. But bad in Hindu isn't just bad, it's passion and ignorance. They break down bad into two, or evil into two. And when you're on Earth, we have that bipolar mind, that dual mind, they call it in the East, where we always think it has to be one or the other. We think it has to be friend, we think it has to be enemy, good or bad. When really, 90% of the time, people make choices based on their internal hormones. And how good of a breakfast they had. Seriously.
The first news story they saw that morning.
There it is. Yeah. Like, we're not really much more advanced than that. And you know it if you look within, especially women. Huh. By acting in the mode of goodness, one becomes purified. Works done in the mode of passion result in distress. Actions performed in the mode of ignorance result in foolishness. Damn. Now, this is very fun, right? Because the first thing I said is, this is all talking about the moment of death. What about life? I think it's so funny that none of these religions talk about what I actually have to do in life. But this is telling us, if you live good, you'll be purified. So I'm saying that this is sort of proving to me now that goodness actually is good. This is saying that goodness is actually, I'd say, the most preferable of the three, because perhaps if one may become pure, it could lead to the escape of the gunas. And I think this is also what might have been meant when they said if you die in the mode of goodness, you attain higher planets. I noticed none of you guys mentioned anything about planets, probably because you're like, what the fuck is that?
I thought you were going to mention it eventually.
Yeah, isn't that Mormon?
Higher planets.
Isn't that the Mormon thing?
Could be. I don't know much about. We'll have to get into their text next.
Yeah.
I think it means higher consciousness almost in this context.
Right. I'm starting to think that as well, that it's like perhaps a heavenly realm or a transcendental realm, higher planets,
understanding or something.
The ability to transcend the gunas.
And is that goodness, is that a moment by moment action thing? Because I feel like I kind of related to that the other day.
Yeah, they said they battle for supremacy. Yep.
Like there have been times where if I went too far out of my way to do something good, or like what's the second one? The second guna?
Passion.
Yeah, if I wanted to be passionate about it, like, oh, I have to be the one to like step in and save the day in that scenario.
Right.
But I always end up looking foolish, and it's not really for it. There's no good outcome of it, because on the way leaving, I'm like, man, I did something so nice.
That's
blah
funny.
blah blah, and I suffer for it. But the other day, there's this old lady stranded in the middle of the intersection, and her car was stalled out or something, and I didn't feel like I had to go too far out of my way to do something, but I did have an opportunity to get out of my car, and I pushed her out of the way, and she like coasted down the hill to a safer spot.
Oh, nice, you did.
And
That's cool.
But it was
You pushed her car down the hill?
I thought you were pushing an old lady at first. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, she can't brake. Ah!
She was in it, but
My brakes are cut.
I told her to put it in neutral, and then she just coasted to a safer spot that wasn't in the middle of an intersection.
Nice. Okay. I like that a lot. Helping as much as you can. You don't have to think about it too much. It's just sort of a natural.
But it was like,
reaction.
bam, you're in the scenario now, because there's all
Right.
these cars passing by, and it's very dangerous where she is for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like there's kind of no choice, but it wasn't thought out and planned.
Ain't that how
far
it
in
goes?
advance.
No premeditation. Yeah.
Premeditation.
Yeah, as it should be. That's cool, man. I like that a lot. And it's not like you're being a phony by like, is there someone I could call? Push
Right.
start her car, get in the engine, try to fix everything. No, I'm just
And
going to
that's
get you
the
to
thing.
safety. Yeah.
Dude, that's the thing. As I was already clearly moving the
Be a
car
human
and
being.
it was done, basically,
Yeah.
another woman driving by was like, do you guys need any help?
Well, there you go.
There's
Look at
the
that. That's so
example.
spiritual. It was passed off. You
Yep.
did what you needed to do.
Yep.
Now this woman can.
She saw what she might have wanted to
humanity.
do, but she didn't need to ask because it was already done.
Right. Too late, bitch. I already helped first. Oh,
And then that's
man.
another battle. You can't be like that, bitch. I helped
There
first.
it is. Every moment's a battle.
Yep.
I like that a lot. You went through all three right there.
Yep.
And to your point, you used the word foolish. So goodness is most preferable. Could lead to purity and escape. Passion was defined as distressed. I see again as the hamster wheel, which leads to nowhere.
Yeah,
you think you're going and going and going. When am I going to get there? It's just distressing. And then, of course, ignorance equals foolishness.
And I
was
had
a
real
fool all
stress,
along.
not distress, because I was running down the hill to get to the car because
Oh,
it was
yep.
4-way intersection traffic light. So it wasn't like distressed about acting. It was like, I got to get there. It was so
Right.
instinctual.
Man, that's it. Real life experiences. I love this a lot. Comment if you have one where this happened to you, especially all three. That's so fun. And I think it's super funny, too, that ignorance ends up being defined as foolish because this kind of proves what we were saying before, too, because it's saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that overthinking makes you dumb. To think too much is actually the foolish thing to do.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Yep.
It's basically kind of just like sapping all your cognitive resources when they should be kind of be used in like going to do some shit.
I like that a lot.
Instead of thinking about your brain is like you got random access memory, right?
Yeah.
You got RAM, you got memory, but you also got RAM, like the stuff that your brain is like functioning.
Yeah.
You're basically
Sorting
using
through.
all your computing power to think about something that's
True,
not
and the
real.
brain uses a lot. Very
Yeah.
true.
Oh man, that's pretty cool analogy. It's like you got 6 employees with no job to do that day,
Oh,
just sitting
man.
around. They're playing Flappy Bird on their on
That's
their
a
cell
good
phone.
visualization. Well, even worse, just thinking about the destruction of the human race.
Either way,
And either both Thomas, I guess. And I think meaning to me that we aren't meant to quote unquote think as God thinks, because we're more of creatures of action, human beings. That term was created because we do those. We are human beings. It's an ing. It's an action. Ooh. Whereas sort of those who overthink find themselves engaged in thinking the thoughts of God. When you don't have that power, how will the world turn out? You know, when am I gonna die? That's not you. It's none of your business. And all your employees are playing Flappy Bird, or what Poach said. You know,
15
they're doing
years
the wrong
ago.
thing. Yeah. That's the only app he could think of. I was gonna say Angry Birds. I haven't had games on my phone.
App life sucks, man.
Fucking sucks.
There's no good
Get
apps.
the games off your phone, you loser, and get a PC or something. Play a real game, if anything. God, it's so
jump.
sad. Doodle jump. What the fuck? Yeah. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, grief develops. From the mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness, and illusion develop. Now, this is cool because it's just more detail based on our analysis. I think they're saying that they agree with us. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those who are in the mode of passion live on earthly planets, and those in the mode of ignorance go down to hellish realms.
Planets?
Pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, the higher planets I wrote here, which is a funny thing. We don't talk about higher planets. I probably could have translated this a little better, but I really think that this is a clue to the means of escape of the gunas. You can't really escape the gunas in tamas because your wheels are spinning, metaphorically. You can't really escape in tamas, or excuse me, in rajas, passion, because the wheels are literally spinning. You're going and doing things, and you're a busybody. You think you have to do everything, solve all the problems, but you can't. But at least you have a chance if you attain pure goodness. But it's rough because you want the intentions to be pure. That's the whole essence of it.
It kind of kills that, or battles against the free will concept again.
Right.
It's like you can't help but be in one of these three at any time.
It's tough, so that's a very good point. We'll get that towards the end here, which is how we put all these together. When you see that there is nothing beyond these modes of nature in all activities, and that the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all these modes, you can know my spiritual nature. Man, I love this. It's a riddle.
It's a Rubik's Cube of life.
It's a Rubik's Guna.
A Rubik's Cube.
He's saying that there's nothing beyond the gunas but me, to break it down simply. And yet he said earlier that you can become like me, as the Bible does. Isn't that interesting? The godly nature. There is the earthly nature and the godly nature. As simple as that. It's basically saying, if you ask me, that accepting certain limitations is in fact divine. And it might even be, to Mitch's old point about free will, which is that if you do anything, you have the choice to be with it or not be with it.
You can just be happy that you're on the path.
Right.
Or freak out that you're on the path.
Well put. Bringing heaven to earth, Poach. I like that a lot. Exactly. I tend to think that if you do have free will, that's your one choice. You freak out about it or you accept it. And if you accept it, you transcend the gunas and become like me. Share my nature.
Wow, I was going to say, so God just says forget the gunas and then you don't have to worry about...
Basically, well put. He says, just don't even think about those gunas. I wrote a book about the gunas, so you'll think about it, but... forget about all that. Which is always the hardest part of humanity, because we love talking and discussing things, and perhaps it leads to an enlightened state, but it could also dig us deeper in concepts, which is always a lurking secret beast to be aware of. So I think it is proven now that perhaps in a subtle way, not to be overthought about too much, that goodness is probably the best, and that the lowest is tamas, overthinking, again, in a subtle way, because it drives one to madness, opposite. Enlightenment, madness. The road to enlightenment, the road to madness. Am I right? So here's our proof. When the embodied beings is able to transcend these three modes, he can become free of birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy the nectar even in this life.
It's same thing the Bible's saying. It's all at hand, right?
Right. And I'm thinking about sort of, that this is telling us that the meaning of life is the ability to truly be able to enjoy life properly.
By getting out of that rat race competition of the good and the bad and the evil. And
Exactly. And I think it's interesting that once you transcend these three modes, you're free of birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and you could actually enjoy the nectars of life. Is that not like our Tao reading last week, when it said, things that overexert will become old? This is not the Tao, and that which is not the Tao is already dead. Damn! Saying the exact thing. So how do you accept the concept of not growing old? I mean, I'm just saying this right now. Does this not jump out to you guys? I cannot grow old.
Well,
what's going on with this?
When I hear the concept of not growing old, I hear you already accepted the fact that you're dead. Like you already know that you're nothing.
Me and Evan.
There is no old to consider. Because you're just like I'm already gone. Like it's just I know that, I accept that, and until then, I don't know. I'm just dead.
Oh,
damn! I love that.
If I were to get really scientific and too many words to it,
yeah, overthinking. He's Thomas.
Yep, it's like you are planning your life so far ahead that you already know that you're just anxious about death because you're looking so far into the future, even though you don't know when your time is, but you know that everyone before you has done this before.
We age because we know we're dead. We're going to die. We might as well be dead now because we're going to be dead, and that's all we think about anything. Another postulate of Mitch here on Ancient Wisdom is that it's really all based on death and fear of death. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? What is the way to escape tamas into rajas, if not just the fear of death? Oh my! I gotta do something. Christ!
It is to get out of bed in the morning, Mitch.
Yeah, wow.
That's how you overcome the tamas. Is get out of bed.
Get out of bed. Yeah. You know, and then once you're out of bed, you're in rajas. Okay, now I'm passionate. Now I'm doing something. I got out of bed already. I gotta do something. But everyone, even goodness, it's still thinking about death because it's this promise of another life, perhaps, if not just fear of the oneness of sorts.
Or maybe how much more good do I have to do before I die?
Yeah.
In order to have a better life later.
Wow. And that's why it is cyclical, because then it comes back to tamas with me, which is, what do I have to, I want to have fun before I die, or I want to minimize pain before I die. But it's all in expectation of this death at the end of the road. So it's all based on fear, y'all. And I say, so comment, y'all, could it be that this growing old is all a state of mind? Is that you literally don't age? Don't even notice aging? Is that you die before you even get the chance to age?
Or maybe it's, life has snapped by so quickly on you.
That's a big one, too. Oh, very deep.
Yeah, people don't even notice they age.
Yep.
Like,
that
there's a lot of people where it's just like, I'm old.
Yeah.
Where'd the time go?
Life goes by in a flash, youngin'. You're gonna blink and you're gonna be having kids of your own. That's what one of my teachers said to me.
That's definitely the case with many boomers right now, because they didn't really do as much as they thought they did in this life.
Yeah.
So
I pushed down a kid when I was younger, and his grandma came out to yell at me, and she goes, "Life is too short." And I'm like, fuck you, Grandma, and I left.
Because you pushed someone?
Because I pushed someone.
Life is too short for violence.
Life is too short for violence.
Is that what she was trying?
I think that's what she was trying to say. Like, these old bitches trying to be so deep. I'm like, shut up.
Life is too short
Life
for
is
violence.
too short. I remember her voice, too. Yeah.
That'll stop them.
That'll stop. I'm going to show these fuckers some wisdom. These little kids. And so, here we go. Arjuna inquired, "My dear Lord, by what symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these modes? What is his behavior?
Man.
And how does he transcend these modes?" So we're going to answer your question you had earlier. What are the steps? What do I do? What's going on
He's
here?
still thinking about the symptoms,
He's
man.
still thinking about the symptoms. I love the word symptoms. We'll get to that a little later. But I think it's a great word. And it's a great question, Arjuna. Amazing. And here comes the big finish. Here's one of the answers. See what you guys think of this. The blessed Lord said, "He who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, nor longs for them when they disappear, who is seated like one unconcerned, being situated beyond these material reactions of the modes of nature, who remains firm, knowing that the modes alone are active, who regards alike pleasure and pain, and looks on a clod, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is wise and holds praise and blame to be the same, who is unchanged in honor and dishonor, who treats friend and foe alike, who has abandoned all fruitive undertakings, such a man is said to have transcended the modes of nature."
I guess that deserves a snap.
That deserves a little snap.
The white girl platitudes can always be applied to these if you really shrink down all that wisdom into just an
that's where they
effortless
come from.
statement.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like men wrote a book and then women were like, you know what I get from that?
That's
Be kind
exactly
to
what
yourself.
happened. And then over years, it's just like, be
kind to yourself. I mean, that's essentially what it's saying. It's like if you stop worrying about the results of your actions, the symptoms, the reactions that you get from others and yourself, then you'll attain what it is that you're looking for.
I heard that whole thing was just analysis paralysis. That entire paragraph. I'm like, he's
That's my
just
new
thinking,
trick.
like, stop.
Yep.
Right.
Just like,
Be
calm
kind
down.
to yourself, man. Realize you're doing what all humans do. You're just reacting.
Yeah,
It's not
yet
your
again, I
fault.
see that as just like, if I have to explain, I write this paragraph. You know what I mean? If I gotta explain, this is what it is. And that's, again, the curse of humanity is that sometimes it has to be explained. And the curse of the curse is that sometimes it does more harm than good to explain.
Yep.
Like you were just saying, all right, shut up. Like, what? You're confusing me type shit. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yep.
So... and then Evan mentioned the word symptoms. Now, this is one of my favorite words because I always say this. I always say that there is no how do I get to enlightenment. There's only symptoms that we can notice on the steps to enlightenment. Because any sort of attempt to cause enlightenment causes into question the motive.
Whoa. And then that makes me think, why did Jesus always have different approaches for saving different people? Like the paralyzed guy who couldn't walk, why was he just like, get up and walk, get out of here,
you lazy bitch.
kind of thing. But why didn't he preach the Beatitudes to him instead to make him get up and walk?
Yeah, very deep. And I think because he's present, he treated people how they needed, what they needed to hear at the time. He knew how to act in the right moment because he was there. He was in the right moment.
Oh, he was totally in the moment and away from the...
Right.
What's the word?
How many times have people tried to be deep, maybe even you try to be deep, and you're like, oh, I said this deep thing one time, I'm going to say that to this other
Again.
person. And then it totally is not received.
Yep.
They're not
goes over
being
their
receptive.
head.
Yeah.
Could be offensive.
Like, oh, that's cool, bro.
Yeah, they're like, oh, that's cool. They don't take it. That's happened a million times to me when I was trying to be deep in the past. I'm like, oh wow, I guess that is deep when I think about it. This is gonna be my new phrase or something like that. When you realize what is the purpose behind you having a phrase, you're just trying to be deep instead of like approaching the symptoms to each situation and treating them with fresh eyes, being actually present and able to help in the pure way, like Evan moving the car for the woman.
Wow, I never thought about that even though I don't know how I came up with that, but like the fact that Jesus had to switch up his remedies for every situation. There wasn't one cure for all people he encountered.
Right, and that is great proof that he was actually real, that he was an enlightened being, that he was, for the most part, what they say. So we have a few here that I like, that, you know, they stick out to me that I like. Who seated like one unconcerned, beyond reaction, basically saying chill out, like Poge said, so he summarized that pretty well. And then, of course, we have the modes alone are active. And what does that imply? The gunas are active, not you. The gunas are the motion. The gunas are the maya. The gunas are the material nature that you happen to be a part of, that your physical body happens to be a part of. But you are more than the physical body. There's the soul beneath the body, of course.
Wow, that's really deep. It all interacts with you, whether you choose to interact with it or not.
It sounds like what you're saying.
Back to the first question. Yep.
We are not waves, we're all part of the ocean, man.
Man, deep. That's the line that Poge has been saving. Yeah, very true, though. Yeah. It's like, it's the free will. It's a lot of things. It's yes and no. It's, I am a physical being, yes, but I'm also more than a spiritual being, yes. Do you have free will? Kind of. Is it predetermined? Kind of. I saw this scientist the other day talking about how we're getting to the state now where the reason that math can't solve physics and consciousness is because that consciousness created math, right? This is a little subtle, but how you can't solve consciousness, you can't solve the source with something that the source created with a, what do they call that?
Wow, that's
arbitration or whatever.
That sounds like the I don't know which Newton law it is, but it's the energy can't be created or destroyed kind of thing. That's why you can't really
thermodynamics.
Oh, I'm sorry, but basically what I'm trying to say is like the creation can never decipher what created it.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And is that not us? Isn't that so deep? Especially my Christian brothers and sisters will see this. You cannot know God because God created you. How are you going to know the Creator? The Creator knows you. It doesn't work the other way. So I find that to be very interesting that the curse of the modes of nature, aka the gunas, are here, they're present, they're always present. And yes, you're a part of that, but there's also a part of you that is transcendent and can transcend and perhaps will to a certain degree. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of God.
Wow.
Darity.
So basically, what I hear you saying is someone who does not need to justify the things around him.
Exactly.
Someone who does not need to actually analyze at all. It's like Arjuna's like, what was the whole point of this conversation? The questions you were asking all lead us to the fact that you need to shut up and accept this.
Wow.
That's a cool one.
We
all have themes of the day. Evan's being scientific.
That blew my mind because it's almost like the Gita or any document, any literature, any divine inspired written text.
Inspired.
Was all like Lao Tzu with the Tao Te Ching.
Yep.
It's like, it was all written with the motive of, all right, if I have to explain this.
They're all like very upset that they have to write.
Man, you guys are hitting it today. Hell yeah, you got it.
If we're having this freaking conversation,
I have
here
to
you
write
go.
another ancient text
If I have to write one more fucking ancient text up in here
to explain
I'm
to
gonna
these
lose
people the ways of the God and the universe.
You guys, we've talked about it on the show before, but the story of the Tao is exactly that. So they say.
Right.
That Lao Tzu was leaving town, and one of the security guards at the gate was like, "You leaving town?" But I'm not enlightened yet. And Lao Tzu was like, "Oh, don't say. I know you're gonna say." He's like, "Can you write down some of your?" Just
a couple sentences, man.
Just a couple, man. Just please, come on. I know I'm not gonna see. I got a job.
We know you wise.
We know you wise, man. Just write. Come on, man. I know you're not gonna write a letter.
Not everybody could make it last week.
We weren't at the luncheon,
man.
We weren't at the church luncheon last
Help a
week.
brother out. Seriously, we were at the church. And you can see Lao's, oh my, fine. Trying to be all holy, I'll write it down. Jesus Christ. And his seems to be one of the most pure, in my opinion, of course. That's the story, and it feels real, does it not? It feels very real. And of course, just to break it down, it seems that it is acceptance above all else. Does not hate attachment or delusion, nor longs for them. It's saying whatever comes, you're okay with it. If you're attached at the moment, be attached. This is what people don't understand too. Oh no, sometimes people think, oh, I'm attached right now. I shouldn't be attached. You're attached to the attachment. It's so subtle, but with time, it can be revealed that if you happen to be attached at the time, let yourself be attached. Don't fight the attachment. Otherwise, you're caught in the double bind.
Wow.
You're lost. And then, of course, once attachment is gone, you can't long for the attachment because you're still caught in the same trap of the gunas, my friend. Seated like one unconcerned beyond reaction.
Wow, that's why it seems Jesus was so detached from all outcomes that he knew he's like, you're gonna betray me, you're gonna pretend you don't know who I am,
yes,
and I'm gonna die, and if I try to not die, I'm gonna die anyway, so I might as well.
Man,
go
up
out
there
like
with
this.
The level of Judas was Peter saying, "Come on, man, you ain't gonna die. We'll protect you." And Jesus is like, "Oh, you better shut the fuck up."
He's like, "Now I know I'm gonna die."
Now
man.
I know I'm gonna. He said, "Get behind me, Satan." Because he's like, "Come on, Jesus, I'm your boy. We'll protect you." And they run away as soon as the guards come. And dude, that would have me pissed. Seriously, it reminds me of when all these people would say we're gonna do things when I was younger. I'm like, I know we're not gonna do things. I know we're not gonna. You're just talking. Get behind me, Satan.
We're gonna make a movie.
Yeah, we're gonna make a movie. All right, get behind me, Satan. We ain't making no movie. Seriously. Oh. But of course, in conclusion, some simple takeaways. Don't get too caught up, man. Create some space between you and overreaction. Don't take yourself too seriously. In fact, that's what people like about you. Because they take things seriously. And they like to see themselves in others. And in the end, it ain't the end of the world. Because there was no beginning. But let's move on with another Eastern text, the one we've been talking about, in Mitch translates the Tao. Mitch translates the Tao, chapter 56. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. Block the openings. Close the doors. Blunt the sharpness. Untangle the disorder. Harmonize the light. Become one with the dust. This is called mysterious unity. Hence, it cannot be grasped as close. It cannot be grasped as far. It cannot be grasped as beneficial. It cannot be grasped as harmful. It cannot be grasped as precious. It cannot be grasped as lowly. Thus, it can be truly valued by the world.
Same theme.
Isn't it amazing? Always the same spiritual theme, because it's not that complicated, really. Behind all the words, behind all the ancient texts, it's the finger pointing at the moon. That's so simple and yet so difficult for most people, because the trap that has been set by the gunas. He who knows does not speak. This is Poja's theme of the day. Why the fuck are we even reading this?
Why are you asking me?
You know, why are you asking me? Why do I gotta tell you? He who speaks does not know. Those who talk too much. Thomas, it's the overthinking, even if you're talking in the head.
And then it's funny
This
because
is the guy who doesn't know.
the people who are asked to speak are like,
Yeah, they know they don't want
man,
to.
this isn't the right way to go about this.
Right.
I can't be speaking about it.
I can't just be speaking.
But okay, fine.
Because you know that if you're even asking me to speak, you are attached to words, and you're going to misinterpret my words. It's better that I just show you. It's better that I never talk at all. So it's as if there should be a very strong disclaimer that we also try to bring up a lot on ancient wisdom. You know, we're just as dumb as anybody. We're getting to the root. We need to find out what it is. Don't get too lost in the words. Just have fun, baby. Have fun. I'm a philosophical guy. That's why I talk about philosophy. Religion interests me. It's just something that happens. It's something that appears in my life. And if you watch the show, it's probably something that you feel as well. Block the openings, close the doors, blunt the sharpness. Do everything you need to do to get rid of the world. You don't need all this. You don't need things coming in. You don't need things sharpen you. You don't need... These are forms of reaction. And as we know, that's the only sinful nature, is the reaction to things that happen. It's not the things that happen, because if we're mad at things that happen, we have to go back and blame and blame and blame. And there is no blame, because there is no beginning. I can't control what you do. I can only control what I do. And of course, it can't be grasped as close. It can't be grasped as far. It's not beneficial. It's not harmful. It's not precious, and it's not lowly. This is saying treat your friends and your enemies as the same, because there's nothing all that special about material nature. That woman you got a crush on, she's not special. You know, that enemy, he could do you a favor with the right treats, with the right words, the right mood. If he won $1 million, he'd be in a great mood. He'd let it go in a second.
Mitch, I think this Tao is saying, don't ask, because you already know, baby.
You already know, baby. And there it is. Couldn't have said it better myself, y'all. This has been Ancient Wisdom, episode 75. Hope you learned a thing or two. Get in touch with us. Leave a comment. Ask a question. We'll respond. But until then, catch you next time.